So hello everybody, welcome to today's session of our final week of the Get Ready module. Thank you for everyone who has been joining us. It's lovely to see some familiar faces and names there, and obviously some new people. So welcome to the University of Liverpool. We'll be following our kind of standard webinar protocols here. So if you've got any questions throughout the time, please feel free to put them into the Q&A chat. We've got a host of amazing colleagues online today who will be able to answer them as we go along, obviously making sure that it's relevant to the questions and obviously the content that is getting delivered today. Please just note that we can't obviously go into individual details of individual cases, and obviously please make sure you don't share any of your personal details in that Q&A. But we'll keep going along. At the end, we'll obviously be able to answer some questions as well for you. As these things go, you will see that we're all working remotely. So if there are any other technical issues, please just feel free to, if for whatever reason the webinar, for example, crashes, you just come back off using the same link. But hopefully everything should be fine for you. So what we're going to do is hand over to my colleague Michael, and if you've got any questions, do feel free to pass them into the chat, and we'll look forward to seeing you a little bit later. Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, thank you. So welcome everyone. So we're here today just to talk about the registration processes before you arrive and once you're here at the University of Liverpool. So I've got a couple of slides. Obviously ask any questions as we go along, and as Andrew said, my colleagues in the background, so I'm more than happy to help. So there's 3 stages ultimately that we need you to go through in relation to registration steps. So the first and most crucial is setting up your IT account. We'll then move on to your academic registration, and then finally your international registration. So firstly, you should have received an email once you've confirmed your place, and that should have been sent to your personal email address, and that will detail all the steps you need to take with some key links and information about what to expect as you work through these tasks, which we'll also go through today. So the first step of that is to activate your computing account. So there's a link on screen, and you'll also hopefully have that link in your email that you will have received. And there's a screenshot there that just shows you once you go onto that link, we ask you for some key information. So we'll ask you for your surname, student ID number, which should be on any correspondence that you've had about your place, and then your date of birth. Once you've entered those key bits of information, you'll work through the following steps and also be given an MWS account. That MWS account will be used across the university to get into certain systems. So, for example, your Canvas account, your university email, it will give you the email address as well as access to your Outlook area. So we need this completed first, so it's quite critical for you to get access to other areas. Once you've done that, you'll then be able to continue on and start your academic registration. So this is done through a system that we call Liverpool Life. Again, there's a link on screen, but you can also find that if you pop into Google. So this is where you'll complete your academic registration process. To gain access, you need your student ID number and a PIN. So you will have been sent hopefully an email where you can create your PIN. There'll be a link on there. If you haven't or you've forgotten your PIN, there is a forgot PIN icon, as you can see on the screen below, where you can click on that and it'll take you again through some steps, ask you some key questions, and you'll be able to set that PIN. That PIN will get sent to your university email address. So it's crucial that you've already done the first step that we've just talked about first to ensure that you get that. Once you've then logged on, you'll be presented with a screen and you'll be able to start with your academic registration. So I'm going to take you through ultimately what each of the screens look like, and ultimately the tasks that you need to undertake to ensure that you've fully completed the steps prior to your arrival. So once you've logged in, you should get a pop-up screen like this. This shows all the different icons and all the different steps that you need to undertake. So anything with a blue eye, as you can see on the screen, will be different areas that we need you to go into and enter certain bits of information. Some of it may already be pre-populated, and others you will have to either tick a box or enter some further information in relation to complete the task. Within here as well, we have our privacy statements and also information about where we send your data to and collection policies as well. So you've got time to read those as and when needed. So as I said, we'll go through, so we'll start with the name and address field, and we'll work through each screen just so you get an idea of what it looks like. And if you've started this process already and have any problems with any of these, just pop them in the Q&A and we'll have a look at these as well. So the first one, your name and address. So as you can see for this example, a lot of the information is pre-populated, but you'll be able to go in and change this. So you can see the title at the top, your first name, last name, and middle name. So you're simply ticking the box on the screen to confirm that those details are correct. And then you'll work into your permanent address and turn time address details. We need these two items so that we can correspond with you. And the turn time address is actually crucial so that we've got that in the information, we know where you are in the wider region. So you can see the yellow boxes or the gold boxes are where you can click on and get further information and enter those details. There's also a tick box right at the bottom of that screenshot that shows if you're staying in our university halls. So if you're staying in university accommodation, you can click that box and you don't need to return time address because that information will feed through from our university systems. If for whatever reason you're stuck, so at the top, if your name's incorrect, there are a couple of support options. So you can go to our service desk. So you will have already got your MWS, which you can log into that system for, and go in and have an online chat with our support team. Or you can click on the second here button, which will open up an email, which will then come through. So you can just detail if there's any issues with your name and suppliers with any documentation they need to. Same for turn time address. If there's any issues there, you can let us know. The system should find the details if you pop the postcode in. It's quite intuitive, so hopefully you'll be able to work through these screens quite quickly and get the information that we need from you. The next screen is your trusted contact screen. So this enables us to help support you during your time here. So if for whatever reason, as in the statement says, if we consider your health, well-being or welfare at risk, we'll use your trusted contact as a key point for us to be able to say if there's any issues and hopefully provide you with further support from your support network. So there's again a privacy statement in there which details exactly what we do and why we'd contact these people in certain circumstances. And then again, you click on the gold yellow button, into the details of your trusted contacts, so their name, their relationship to you, which can be any of the drop-down menus, so a family member, a friend, and then also an address. We also have a number as well, which is part of that. If it's already pre-populated, you can simply click on the button on the next bit that says confirm your trusted contact details are correct, and you can go and click the return to registration checklist. So again, we only contact whoever your trusted contact is in certain circumstances, and that privacy statement is exactly when we do that. So that's the trusted contact page. The next one, qualifications on entry. So again, this is an opportunity for you to write the details in of your qualifications that you've gained outside of your further study with the University of Liverpool. So you can pop in the details there. If your school was outside the UK, just click on the top checkbox, and you'll be able to enter all the details that you need to. Some of it again may be pre-populated, as it might have already come through our admissions team. So you can simply click confirm that they're correct or not correct on the tick boxes below. And again, you can enter any missing entry qualifications, as you can see towards the bottom of that screen, using those gold yellow buttons again. You'll always click at the bottom, that click here to return to the registration task, and that'll take you back to where you came from. So you can, if you need to go away, find any marks or try and understand or gain further information, you can always come back to it. Next screen is personal details. So this is probably the screen that we ask the most information from you for. So you can see there's a mix of drop-down menus and checkboxes. So we start off with the left-hand screenshot. So your date of birth at the top is pre-populated. It's just showing that that's correct, and the one that you've given at the time asking to join the University of Liverpool. If that's incorrect, again, just click on those here buttons and that will take you through to further support. You'll then work through a number of personal items where you can submit ultimately your preferred option. So we'll ask you your ethnicity, confirm that your nationality, legal sex, and domicile are correct at the top, and then work through the drop-down lists, asking what your pronouns are, your first name, etc. So there is one there that asks for your preferred first name. So if you are called, for example, I'm Michael, and I can be called Mike, so you can pop the name in there that you prefer to be called. That will come out on your physical ID card, so you can use that as identity if you needed to. The next couple of chat boxes ultimately ask you about your circumstances. So if you've got any long-term illnesses, any impairments in relation to hearing, all those sorts of bits. These enable us basically to offer you further support from our welfare teams as and when needed or required. So we can just hopefully build an environment around you that will give you the best opportunity to succeed at the University of Liverpool. And then on the right-hand side, we just ask a couple of more questions in relation to your circumstances. So if you've been in the armed forces, if you have any dependents, those types of items. Again, there's a link there for our disability advice and guidance websites where you can gain some further information and support depending on your circumstances. Details page. Academic details. So this basically details the course that you signed up to. So on here, it'll confirm your major and program code. So this should be what you've confirmed your offer for. And then it'll show your campus, which the majority of you will be main Liverpool campus. The year that you're entering and your start and end date. So it's just having a look at that, making sure that those are correct, and ticking that, please confirm your program major code or correct button. So it's quite a straightforward screen, hopefully that one. If again, there's any issues in relation to that program being wrong, our details are on these pages, so you can just email us and we'll have a look and confirm with admissions whether you've changed the program in the process of confirming your offer, anything like that. So we'll just make sure that those are correct. Your modules, so this screen for the majority of you might not contain anything. So a lot of modules in relation to when you first arrive at the university pre-prescribed, so they're already in your program. So you won't necessarily have a lot to pick from, especially if you're coming into first year. But if there is anything that you need to do, it will show on this screen. So it details exactly how many credits you should have. So if you're an undergraduate student, 120 credits, and if you're a postgraduate student, 180 for the academic year. So on here, it'll give you advice and guidance. As you can see, the academic advice below for this example gives you some details about the programme, what prerequisites there are, and further information in relation to what you might need to do, and also a school email address at the end. So if you have any concerns or queries about this page, if you need to select courses, and they show under the subject course titles credit table, which is in the middle, you'll be able to have a chat with your school by the email address and just make sure you know and understand about the optional modules that you might have in relation to your program of study. So the module page, financial details. So this is where we're basically trying to understand who's paying your fees. So in this circumstance, basically the checkbox at the top, you just answer that question. So if you or your family are responsible for payment of your tuition fees, if it's yes, simply click yes, and then you can move on. If you click no, the pop-up box, as you can see on this screenshot, will appear, and you can enter who's responsible. So depending on who that is, obviously put the details in there, and then our student fees team will contact you and just make sure that everything's arranged and everything's set up ready for those fee payments across the academic year. You can again see by the last sentence, there's a link for our fee payments team. So that will detail where the installment dates are, when you need to make a payment, where you can get an invoice from, those types of things. There are also our installment options. It depends on the level of study and the fee status classification. So hopefully that's all the information that you've got on there in relation to fees. There's also an email address as and when needed. So if you do have any questions, just contact feesinc@liverpool.ac.uk, and that will get you through straight to them if you've got any concerns about this screen. Previous attendance. So we collect this mainly just for his purposes and for the statutory requirements, but this will detail ultimately whether where your last college was or your last school was that you attended. So again, you just tick the box at the top if your previous institution was outside the UK and isn't listed. It may already again be pre-populated if it's come through admissions, so it might already be in the system. And then you can just put the dates you attended from, whether it was a higher education qualification that you gained, and all the information there. Save that, and then you can pop back to the registration task. So again, it's just another screen where we're just gaining further information about your previous study. Photo upload, so this one's quite crucial. There's a deadline associated to this, which is at the end of this week. So the deadline is the 8th of September to get your photo onto the registration portal, so that ultimately we can download that and produce a physical ID card for you for Welcome Week. So there's a couple of links that I've added to this screen, but if you type in student administration, my student ID card into Google, you should be able to get to that quite quickly. Essentially, in this screen, you'll need to choose a file and upload a file in relation to your image. So you can see a couple of examples there below, but essentially, if you follow the same rules as a passport photo, so a clear background, nothing obstructing, so like no friends or anything like that in the picture, then it should go through quite easily. And again, if you get it before or on Friday, the 8th of September, you'll be able to collect your physical ID card from the GFlex and the Central Teaching Hub, as long as you've been fully registered in terms of completed this process all the way through, and also submitted any immigration documents that you need to make sure that you've signed off on those as well, which we'll go into later on in this presentation. Also, once you've completed your academic registration, you'll be able to gain access to your digital ID card. So that'll be available via the My Liverpool app, which you'll be able to find on the App Store or on the Google App Store as well. So on there, you'll be able to go into there and there'll be a physical duplication of your ID card. It'll have your image, your program, and your end date on there as well. There's some information. And again, you can use that around campus. It won't get you into buildings, but you'll be able to use it as identification in the guild for any external events, and also around the city region if you needed any identification to get any discounts. So it's quite a good addition. Next stage is email address. So you should hopefully have an email address for you already. So you should see it pre-populated in that first tab where it says existing email address. If we don't have any, then you just need to go into there and change it. So you click where it says save changes to your email address. That will be slightly differently. You click into that box and enter any email addresses that you've got or that you wish to be used to be contacted on. If you get this screen and it's already got an email address in and that's the one you want to use, just simply click the second gold box which states that the address is correct, and then that will take you back to the registration task. So again, a pretty simple screen hopefully, and it's just making sure that that email address that's in there is the one that you want to be used, because that's the one that will contact you on, as well as your school one. So we'll contact you on your local UK address, as well as any personal one that you might have on the system. Last screen, so this one is for our careers team. So we ask you some information about your career development, work experience, and careers interest. So each of the tabs circled, the gold tabs, will give you a set of different questions that you'll need to answer. So the first example, I've clicked the career development one, so the first one on the left, and it'll give you a question about what stage you're in your career development with a number of different options. It will tell you how many to select. So in this instance, it'll be one. Once you've selected that, you then move on to work experience, and then you'll move on to career interest. Once you've selected all the options that you need to, some of them might have further questions associated to them as well. Simply click save, then submit, and then you can go back to your registration checklist. So you just need to work through each one of those options. If you're not sure on either of the questions that are being asked, there's always an option to say, I don't want to provide the information, or you're unsure, or other. There's usually an option there as well. So hopefully, again, you can work for those. And as it says at the top, there's no right or wrong answers. This is purely about your own development. The careers team will use this to hopefully provide further support for you as you work through your university career, and enable you to be successful at the end of that with the career that you want to go to. So then once you've worked through all those, we've got through each of those steps. This is hopefully what your screen will look like at the end. So we've moved away from those blue I numbers and we've gone to red ticks. So each one of those fields now has a red tick against it, which means you're in a state to complete your registration tasks. So you'll get the pop-up on the right-hand side that says all your checklist items are complete, and please submit basically the details that you've submitted by clicking on the complete my registration checklist items button. So you can see that circled at the bottom of the page. We've also got a link to our terms and conditions in relation to registration here as well. And it confirms that the next step to confirm your engagement will be 9 days before the start of your program. So this is just stage 1 of the academic registration process. So we'll get all your information, collate that, that'll be put into the system, and then 9 days before you start, you'll be able to confirm your engagement. You can only do that step on campus. So you need to do that at a university computer or via our Wi-Fi, which is called EduRoam, which you'll be able to log in using our MWS. So it opens 9 days before, but you can do that at any point to and including the start of your program date. So usually during Welcome Week, we'll be based up in the computer suite in the Central Teaching Hub. So for those submitting their immigration documents and confirming those documents, upstairs there'll be a big computer suite where you'll be able to go on and make sure that you've completed this step. And that's the step that we need you to do before we can give you your physical ID card, because that ultimately confirms that you've arrived at the university and you're ready to start. So that's the academic registration process. So we'll move on to the international registration steps. So you will have done all the submission of your personal details and all those documents. The next step is ultimately for you to complete your international registration. So this is where we obtain and take copies of or deliver your visa information, so your BRPs. So you'll receive an email, or hopefully you'll have already received an email in relation to signing up to a date and time slot to show or collect your BRP or immigration documentation. So that'll be via an Eventbrite link, and you'll be given again a date and a time to come along to the GFlex, which is in the Central Teaching Hub, right in the middle of campus. And those dates will be from Sunday the 17th to Friday the 22nd of September. And then we're also, we've got spots on Sunday the 24th as well. So it's critical that you sign up to one of those slots and come along. We will hopefully have the majority of your BRPs on site, but if you've selected the post office to collect your BRP, we'll need you to go to the post office, grab that BRP, and then come back to us in the Central Teaching Hub in a slot that you've booked so we can take a copy of your documents. If you have share codes in relation to your visa, then we'll also need those as well. So it's making sure that you've just booked onto one of those sessions so we can have a chat, make sure that we've done everything that we need to in relation to your international registration, and then sign you off. Because then at that point, hopefully you completed your academic registration, we'll sign off your international registration, and then you'll be able to get your student ID card, your physical one, from that location. So you'll be able to finish and move across within the GFlex and pick up that ID card. But as stated, you need to be fully registered to get that. Any early arrivals, so if you're arriving this week before the 8th of September, then you just need to contact Visa Collection at liverpool.ac.uk to book a one-to-one appointment so that we can get that documentation checked or delivered to you as needed. After the 8th, then you just need to sign up to one of the sessions as noted above. If for whatever reason you're arriving later, we will still be based in the Central Teaching Hub in the IT suite from Monday the 25th to Friday the 13th. So we'll arrange to get your documents from there. And there'll be support all around the Central Teaching Hub all the way through to Friday the 13th of October. So if you've got any queries, any concerns, you can always contact that building and we'll direct you where you need to go, or we'll take your documents depending on the time of the year and where we're up to in the registration processes. So don't worry, we'll make sure that you're looked after throughout. And that's in the presentation in relation to the registration side of things. So again, as mentioned in relation to support, I've put some key links on here. So we've got our student service self-portal. So once you've got your MWS, you'll be able to log into this. So completing that first step of your IT registration. In here, we've got a number of different widgets that you can go into, which have different knowledge articles in relation to question letters, transcripts, all sorts of different information. You can also ask for help, and our online chat support is also based here as well. So on the screenshot on the right-hand side and the bottom left, you can see that chat support widget. So you'll be able to go into there. There's people in the background from 10 till 3 who'll be able to support you. And that's a chat with a person behind the scenes, so you'll get instant responses. Assessment portal itself, I've also given links to our contact pages and also our website. So the best place to go to is student administration and registering for my new program, because that will take you through all the steps that I've discussed here and provide you with the information just in case you need it again. And that's our support pages. That's the end of the slideshow. Just check. Any questions in the Q&A? I'll pass back to Andrew.
Thank you, Michael. So thank you very much for obviously you've seen there's a lot of questions there for you and lots of informed information there. So we do have quite a few questions that have come in via the chat function. So we will be slowly answering all of them as possible. What we'll do is try and get you a list as well of all the contacts. I know we've had quite a few questions about the student school experience teams, and we'll try and get some of them over. If you have asked a question about the school experience teams and we haven't got back to you just yet, if you could pop in which subject and what level of study you're doing, and that way we can make sure we're getting the right and relevant information over to you. So as you said, you had all those technical information here. We have been recording this session. So if you feel there was something you didn't quite understand or you want to go over again, we will be uploading this video shortly onto our Canvas site. So you may be watching this already online on demand, but go back onto the Canvas site and we'll be able to watch it over, and hopefully this video will be up there later this afternoon. So our amazing colleagues will be answering those questions going through for you now. We'll have a quick look and see if we can answer any of them live. But if you have had your questions answered, thank you very much for your attendance. We have a brilliant schedule of further events coming up throughout the week as well. So please do feel free to go back on to your Gecko booking page and you can add all of the rest of the Get Ready modules for you there. And if you can't attend them live, do go back onto the Canvas site and there's loads of extra resources there. So thank you very much again for everybody's time. Please do feel free to book on to the rest of the sessions and we will slowly now get through all of those amazing questions that you've been asking. But thank you wherever you are in the world, or if you're watching on demand, thank you very much for your time and we'll be seeing you very shortly here on campus.